Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Actually, good evening, everyone. Dave Brown with Valley Leadership. Glad to see you all joining here on a Tuesday afternoon. Learn a little bit more about Catalyze, which we'll get started in here in just a minute. Very excited to have everyone from across the region here joining us this evening to learn a little bit more about our Catalyze Class 4 program. This is the fourth year of Catalyze. We had a precursor to Catalyze during COVID called Ready Together, which helped inform how Catalyze would work as part of Valley Leadership's overall strategic plan and reimagination of our programming. Catalyze is a super exciting program. Yes, part of it is online, also opportunities to be in person to build some closer relationships with those in the cohort. It will likely be a large cohort. We've run about 100 participants every year for the last 4 or 5 years, including Ready Together. We split those cohorts into two, which Carrie will talk about a little bit more. But we really do try to get you interacting with as many people as possible so that you have that opportunity to build some relationships with your session date. So be an evening and an afternoon session, you'll be able to hang out with them. Smaller pods within that where you'll get to know everybody. So I won't give away too much about the Catalyze program, but I wanted to welcome everyone and excited for your interest. Catalyze was an intentional program that we did want to make online, at least partly online, so that we could gain people and experience and leaders from across the state and make it as accessible as possible by offering that afternoon and evening session. It's very intentional around our themes that Carrie will get to, as it sets you up for doing in Arizona, which is what Valley Leadership is all about. Leadership is action, is our leadership philosophy. So appreciate everybody taking some time this evening, and I'll hand it over to Carrie Larson, who's our program manager for Catalyze. She'll give you a little bit about her background. She is fantastic. She is new. This will be her second go round with Catalyze. She helped run things for Catalyze Class 3. I'm excited to have her back for Catalyze Class 4. Carrie, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. And hey, everyone. I'm excited to have a second round, second go at Catalyze. It was a really great experience with Class 3. We've got 2 Class 3 alum here to talk to you in a little bit. But we've got a lot of good feedback from them too that I think is going to help make Class 4 even better, some new improvements and things to really help out the program. But my name's Carrie Larson. I come to VL from actually the K-12 world. I live in South Phoenix. I started part of a team that started a small charter school in South Phoenix that then joined with ASU Prep, and I was head of schools at ASU Prep for a couple of years. And now I'm shifting a little bit to do a different kind of leadership work. So I'm excited to be here, excited to talk to you guys about Catalyze. And you've probably been getting lots of emails and things from me. I'm happy to email you more after this, meet for coffee, talk on the phone, any questions you have as you're thinking more about this. But for tonight, what we want to do is make sure we give you a little bit of a high-level picture of Valley Leadership. If you're not familiar, then we will get into the heart of it, the Catalyze program. And then the best part, you get to hear from alumni, and we will make sure we save plenty of time at the end for Q&A and that we get you out of here on time, because we know, again, this is right at the dinner hour or pickup time. So when we think about Valley Leadership altogether, we are a program you may have heard about, or you may know somebody who's graduated from one of the current programs or one of our previous programs, but we've been around for 40 years and are well known for our big network of alumni that have included some of the highest ranking leaders and elected officials in our state. And over the years, Arizona has changed, Valley Leadership has also changed, and our vision for supporting leaders remains the same, but some of the details have shifted as our mission has evolved. So the programs that we have today are a reflection of what our community believes it means to lead in today's Arizona. So we want to really be thinking about not just where we've been in the last 40 years and leaning on that, but what does Arizona need in the next 40 years, and how are we an active part of building that, which creates our mission. We bring a broad spectrum of Arizonans together to work in collaboration as leaders to impact Arizona's most pressing issues. And what you see embedded in that is our core belief, and Dave has told you this already, and you'll hear it a lot in the program, is leadership is action. It's not about a job. It's not about a title. It's not about how many people are under you in an org chart. It's that if you have a community first mindset and you're ready to engage with issues and you're open to learning and you want to take action, we want to work with you. End of story. So what does it look like to work with us? That's what we want to talk a little bit about today. So the last big picture thing we want to talk about is that we are a values-driven organization. So these are not just buzzwords, not just things we talk about as a one-off. They're really things that drive every single thing that we do. So we believe that everyone needs to be driven to be successful leaders in Arizona, which is taking action with an outcome in mind and focusing on what can be done now, big or small. Needing to have an Arizona first mindset, approaching issues from a standpoint of what is best for our state with an ethos of shared responsibility across interests. Building trust, taking pride in building a culture that fosters relationships and trust in order to find common ground. Operating with a team mindset, committing to the team's success above personal success, and practicing integrity, engaging other perspectives with respect, taking responsibility for our biases, and understanding we are not always right. So think about these pieces. If you're still working on your application, we are not looking for you to always be right or be the biggest boss of everything. We're looking for people who can work with other people and are willing to listen to other folks and what they share. So over the past 3 years, we've evolved a lot of our programs. And so we want to talk to you a little bit about some of the pieces here, because you may have come to us today, partly because you've heard about some of the other programs. So we think of Catalyze as our starting point. The program we're talking about today, it's the one where you really get to know all about yourself, all about Arizona, all about Valley leadership, and our theory of action. After you've done Catalyze, you're eligible to be a part of one of our Impact Maker teams, which we'll talk a little more about during this session. And you could also join our Explore program, which you may have heard about. That's where folks travel all around Arizona and get to really dig into community and learning about specific communities in Arizona. And then our Summit. Catalyze being the foundational experience that helps you understand Arizona's issues and then opens up these other opportunities after you've completed Catalyze. So we will talk about actual Catalyze now and not just what Catalyze lets you do next. So we have 4 big goals of this program. We want to help you make connections with others who are eager to make a positive impact on our community. We want to create space for participants to build knowledge about themselves, but also the most pressing issues facing Arizona. We want to help introduce participants to tools that will help build up their introspection, their communication, and collaboration skills. And lastly, we want to help participants broaden their perspectives by hearing from community leaders working on some of the state's biggest issues. So these building blocks come together, and that's why we call this our prerequisite program. We think after you've done these things, you are ready to head out there and do for Arizona, or change or improve or revise how you are already doing for Arizona. So we do want you to let everybody know, like, we have been really intentional about our program. If you think back to the mission I read and those values we looked at and these 4 building blocks, we put those things together to create this program. And that's how we picked the topics. There are so many pressing issues facing Arizona. We are not going to cover 100% of them, but we have prioritized based on those pieces we just talked about. And that's a piece of why we space this out. We want to give you time to think, time to explore, time to reflect, and see how all of these issues are interconnected. That's one of our core themes, is that everything about Arizona and these issues is interconnected. So what you see here is the Vitalist Healthy Communities Wheel. This is one other piece that is really key to the program. Some of you may have heard of Vitalist. If you haven't, I hadn't before I joined the team. They're a local organization with a mission of improving health for all Arizonans. And if you're familiar with the social determinants of health, you'll see this wheel is based on those. And if you're not, the social determinants of health are factors that determine whether people and communities live healthy, fulfilling lives. And our goal would be that in being an Arizonan, you would have access to a healthy, fulfilling life. The World Health Organization, government, social service providers, researchers across the world and here in Arizona use this model and these ideas of social determinants of health to think about how health is so interconnected with all kinds of issues facing Arizona and the world. Again, we're sharing all this to let you know the program is not a hodgepodge of random things we've thrown together based on a couple people we know and a couple of our passion projects. It's really thought through. We can only have time for so much. What's going to rise to the top and how are we going to decide what that is? So here's a map of our Catalyze Class 4 experiences. I know that it's a little blurry and hard to read, so I'll just run through it real quick. We start with a foundation of our leadership philosophy. We spend a whole session on social determinants of health, roll into environmental sustainability, housing, neighborhoods and community, jobs in the economy, policy and funding, education, racial justice, child well-being, and we wrap up with hope and opportunity. And I'll talk a little bit about what happens in that session in a little bit here. So I already talked about one of the themes that we have, interconnectedness, but if you look at the front, you can see two other really key things we work hard to keep woven throughout the entire program, which is adaptability and the importance of being adaptable if you want to be a leader. Again, leading from any position, but part of doing that work means you have to be ready to change when the situation changes, when the needs change. And then also equity. Does every Arizonan have equitable access to the things they need to live a healthy life? And where that's not the case, what's impacting that? How could we make movement towards that being the case? So here's some things you might see us doing in a session. We'll greet you right away at the beginning of the session. Our sessions are 3 hours long, and I know that sounds long, but they are fast-paced, they are interactive, they are structured. We are not just hanging around, not doing much. You'll often find yourself in a breakout room with other folks in the first 5 minutes of the session, because we want to get you time to talk to other people about the things we've been reading and learning about, give you some time to connect and meet different people in the session, and interact with the content. We will always have some kind of guest speaker or expert. We are not trying to be the experts on everything. We are trying to see the connected issues and bring in folks who can teach us more about what are the most pressing issues facing Arizona. You might hear from one guest speaker in a session. You might hear from as many as 5. Big takeaway, it is not me talking for 3 hours. I would not want that. You would not want that. We know that's not good learning. So we will make sure we're bringing in lots of different voices. Here is just a sample of some of the guest speakers we've had in the past. It's a little different every year based on issues, what's top of mind, and logistics, who's available. But we do want to make sure you get time to hear from people who are doing the work to make Arizona better. We ask folks to present information in a way that ties together the issues that we're talking about and our themes, and also things that connect you personally to the issues, so you can be thinking about what you could be doing when you're ready to make a commitment to do for Arizona at the end of the program. We do also make a commitment we ask all the guest speakers to save time at the end to take questions, because we do want you to have a chance to ask these folks questions too. So it is not just lecture the entire time. Our goal is that you get a chance to dive in with them as well if you have questions or areas of interest you want to ask about. So talk a little about logistics here. So for my friends who love logistics, we have 12 sessions. We kick off in early September. We wrap up in February. Each session is 3 hours. They are generally every other week to give folks a longer break at the end of December and early January. We do, for this session, you'll see where on the FAQs, we've listed the session dates. We do have 2 back-to-back in, I think it's early December weeks. We offer our sessions on Zoom. That is intentional, and it's to make everything really accessible for folks and to let folks from all over Arizona have a chance to join. We know people want to have a chance to do some things in person, so I will talk about that. There are in-person aspects to this program as well. And then last up, we do have some prep work that we do as a part of the session. Sometimes that's directly related to the session. Sometimes it's more work for you, reflections, thinking about yourself, thinking about your leadership style, your working style. And then sometimes it's also maybe an issue we're not having a speaker on, but we know is important. We didn't talk specifically about air quality in our class 3 session. We didn't have a speaker focused on that. So we did read a little bit about air quality as the pre-work. So again, we're working to make it intentional. We are not trying to waste your time. We do want to make sure, though, you have a chance to come in with a little bit of foundational knowledge, again, so you can jump in right away with people. Then virtual sessions. I do want to talk a little about your in-person opportunities here. So we know we want to be together too. So we do have a kickoff prior to session 1. That's a mandatory session. We want everybody there because partly it's a chance to meet everyone in the program. And also we talk a lot about our norms and how we're going to act together as a group. And that's a conversation that for class 3 was actually had over Zoom. For class 4, we're going to make sure we have that conversation face to face. So we want to make sure everybody's there to get a chance to be a part of that, have a voice in that conversation. We also have a graduation that's in person. Our session 12 is our graduation. And then we have socials throughout the program, which are a chance to meet. And the nice thing about all those in-person sessions is they allow the whole group of 100 folks, or as many folks as can make it, be there and be together, because we do have 2 separate cohorts when we're talking about those 3-hour sessions. The socials, just to talk a tiny bit about the structure of those, they serve a couple of purposes beyond just giving you a chance to talk with people. You also get a chance to talk more with Valley leadership staff. It is more unstructured time together, which is nice because the 3-hour sessions I said are highly structured. We're trying to get through key content and make good use of your time. The socials are a chance to just talk about what you want to talk about, finish the conversations that got cut off in the Zoom room and things like that. We also bring our impact team leads to different sessions so you have a chance to talk to them about the work they're doing and see if it might be something that interests you in the future. All right. So last thing I want to talk about is I've mentioned a little bit this idea of writing your commitment to do or having a commitment to do at the end. What we do want is at the end of this, you're able to put together Arizona's most pressing issues, your interests and strengths, and what's the overlap. So you're going to hear from all these guest speakers scattered throughout the program. You're going to do a bunch of independent work throughout the program. All of this designed to help clarify for yourself your own commitment to doing at the end. And you use that commitment to then decide, okay, what's my plan going forward? What do I want to do? And we want to help you take that first step in getting involved in the community. Or as I said, many of you are here because you're already super involved in the community. How could you revise or maybe make changes to what you're doing to increase your impact? So I'm going to talk a little bit now about what if you're not 100% sure what you want to do, or you'd rather throw in with some folks who are already doing the work to increase your impact. We have a set of impact maker teams. And this is a network of VL alumni and strategic partners who are working together to tackle our to-do list. They each have a mission and a key action item they are working towards in pursuit of immediate impact and also systemic change. So through this, if you're not sure where to start, you can join one of our impact teams and be a part of the work they're doing, throw in with folks who are already in the middle of the work, and bring your own expertise to help out the team. You are not required to join an impact team, though. You also can take on whatever it is you'd like to do in any way you want. But we do want to make sure if you've had a chance to talk to maybe somebody who was in one of our previous Valley Leadership programs, sometimes they did a project during the sessions. We don't do the projects during the session. It comes at the end. We give you all the time to reflect, learn, think, pull all the pieces together, and at the end say, okay, now what do I want to do going forward? Now that I've gotten these, 6 hours back a month when I don't have 3-hour sessions every other week, what do I want to roll that time into next? All right, so here's the dates. I'm not going to read through all of them, but I do want to let you know we do 2 sessions, one during the day. That can really be almost any time, but you could think of it as like during the standard 9 to 5 workday, there's a session. And then we do an evening session, which is something like 5 to 8 p.m. We don't have exact answers for you on when those are because we decide that based on you all. Folks, once they're in the program, we survey them, we figure out what's going to work for people. And I can say we have, for the previous 4 times we've run this virtual program, been able to meet the scheduling needs of 100% of participants. So we will be able to find something that works for you and get you into that session so that it's nice if we have you commit to one session so that you're seeing the same folks and getting a chance to build a relationship and work with them. And we give you a smaller team within that cohort, which we call your pod. So it's a small group of something like 6 to 8 people, and you get to spend a little more time with them than with, just the general everybody else. And the idea is it builds you a smaller, tighter community that you can rely on. People you can email, text, check in with. If you have questions, you're unsure, you can always check in with me. I'm always happy to help, but just gives you sort of a second support system and builds your network in a little more tight-knit manner with those folks. All right, next up, we want to talk a little bit about the cost here. So we do want to make sure that cost is never a barrier to participation. So we have a sliding scale here, and you can see the program ranges from $200 to $850, and that's based on income level. And those income levels differ based on whether you're a single income household or a multiple income household. So you can see that there. We also have scholarships and wage replacement. We don't ask you too many questions about that in the application, just one quick question about whether you're interested or not. After we have our final class set, we will send out an email saying, okay, let us know a little more if you have a scholarship need, and we'll work with folks. I will let you know, this is why kind of sneaking this in, there are some questions you answer in the application about whether or not you'd be interested in, or what you think you might have a scholarship need, and then also race, ethnicity, how long you've lived in Arizona kind of questions. All of that information is hidden from folks who read the application. What folks are really reading is your short answer question, your answers to the short answer questions. That's the only part that somebody reviewing your application will see. The rest of that is hidden from them. Just so you know that it will not play into selection for folks at all. The application is completely online. For these questions, please don't way overthink it. Give us good answers, but you don't have to write novels for answers. We just want to hear what you think and know, like we said, that we're looking for a group of folks interested in learning about Arizona, learning about themselves, and bringing people together to do good things for Arizona. Our applications are reviewed by a group of board members and community leaders, our CEO, Dave Brown, along with myself, and we're just looking to identify folks who will be successful in the program. The deadline is at the end of May, so May 31st, it's coming up. So get your application in and talk to your smart friends and ask them to get their applications into. The bigger group, the better the network, the better and more we're doing for Arizona after it ends. We'll review from May to June, and then we will let you know by June 17th who's in the program. Again, our goal is to be really, really inclusive. We want a lot of folks in this program so that we are building out the network for all of you and for Arizona. We are hoping June 17th still gives you time to then make plans for the fall. So we try to get this done really, truly as quickly as possible, because we know you are wondering, what is this 3 hours that's going to come out of my schedule somehow twice a month. And so we're going to work to get that set really quickly. On the heels of that email will be me saying, hey, when are you available? What days and times work for you? Hey, do you have any scholarship needs? We'll work to wrap it all up really quickly for you after that. You can find the application on our website, valleyleadership.org/catalyze. There's a link to it. I will also send you the link again tomorrow after this info session to make sure that you have got it. So I'm going to take questions in a minute. So if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and I'll answer them in a minute. But I do want to make sure we get a chance to hear from our alumni, and I want to let them get on to their evenings and dinner plans. So the first alumnus we have here to share with us is the founder and executive director of Keep Tempe Beautiful. And he is also a phenomenal video producer. He moved out to Tempe in 2006 to start his undergraduate degree at Arizona State University after a 4-year enlistment in the U.S. Navy. He was a member of our third Catalyze class and has continued his community-focused work by joining our impact team focused on tree equity. So welcome, Joe Forte. I'll hand it over to you to share a little bit about your Catalyze experience.
Well, thank you so much, Carrie and Dave, of course, and welcome everyone for checking out Catalyze. I'm a big proponent. I really enjoyed my experience in Valley Leadership, and I'd say I have a unique experience in the sense that I did Valley Leadership directly after going through the Tempe Leadership Program. And the one thing that I really enjoyed about Valley Leadership is that with Tempe Leadership, I would say it was about 80% Tempe and 20% leadership. And I would say Valley Leadership was like 80% leadership and 20% Valley. And so I learned just so much introspective. We did so much introspective work on our own leadership styles and really how to make ourselves better leaders, and really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed just meeting the people, like the type of people that do these leadership programs are high quality individuals, and definitely the type of people that I want to associate myself with, and just really had a really great networking experience, and the in-person events were phenomenal. And it's actually amazing as time progresses, you realize there's like other people that you probably even know that's been through the Valley Leadership Program. We've been around for over 40 years. So I've been, shortly after I went through it and we had our first alumni event, I actually invited a couple people that I haven't seen in a while. So it's also a really great tool to re-engage with people that you've also worked with. And quick plug, if no one told you, we actually just had a new partnership with the ASU WP Carey School, and they're giving $10,000 towards an MBA program. And I'm not sure if I'm the first to go through that, but I'm just going to own it right now. And they just released it, and I got accepted into the program, so I'm going in the fall. And I would have never even applied if it wasn't for Valley Leadership. So really big wins there as well. So definitely getting involved, but if there's anything that I can do, by all means, please feel free to reach out. Without further ado, back to you, Carrie.
Hey, thank you, sir. And thank you for the plug for ASU. It's a great reminder, everyone. And we have another alumni speaker here. She is an award-winning instructor, a creative technologist, and researcher with a long history of supporting diversity and inclusion. She teaches English composition, humanities, and African American studies, while also serving as co-chair of the Ethnic Studies Instructional Council for the Maricopa County Community Colleges District. And friends, that is just the tip of the iceberg. I want to give her time to talk, so I'm not going to be able to tell you everything she's done. She's also a Catalyze Class 3 alum and has also joined an impact team, our team focused on racial justice. So we are so grateful to have Dr. Kezia Tinkle Williams here to share about her Catalyze experience.
Thank you so much.
I'll hand to you. Oh, there we got you.
I also have to start with a shout out to Carrie. I didn't have your first class. So when thinking about what stood out to me, it was really the amalgamation of the various components of the program. The speakers, the in-person socials, the initial social, our reflection activities, and then all of the various components of the Catalyze program. Especially the reflections about my own leadership strengths. So usually in faculty, I am caught up in teaching students, and I don't really think about what I personally brought to leadership or what my leadership style was. And so the best example I have of this was actually during one of a very impactful guest speaker who was Angela Huey. She was the 74th Woman of the Year. And we listened to her during our Catalyze session. And what she talked about, what she did with a small organization, how she made such a difference for people in Arizona was inspiring to say the least. After that, we were actually put in a group with our pod mates for one of the breakout sessions. And based on the first time we met each other at that social, Pod 3, we became a team unlike no other, at least in our own minds. We had the most team spirit. And I really believe it came from us all attending that first in-person kickoff. We were the only pod that had everyone there. And so Carrie really did listen to the feedback that we would submit at the end of every session. And all of us started kind of echoing this battle cry of, we want to spend more time with our pod mates. It's great that we're getting to meet all of these other groups, but we put a focused effort and said, all right, maybe if we all keep putting it every week, they'll give us more time in our pod. So it really was a celebration that after this impactful speech that we heard from Angela Huey, that we were put in our pods. And one of my pod mates said, as soon as we came on, she said, you know what I wanted to tell you? First of all, I'm so excited Pod 3 is all together. Number 2, I think you're going to be Angela Huey. I know her personally, and I can see you being a future Angela Huey. And she told me how they have worked together on all of these different events and how well she knew her. And I said, you know, I really feel absolutely unworthy of that statement, but I'm going to try to live up to it. And it was the day that we were making our AZ plus me commitment statements. And I came into Valley Leadership knowing that I wanted to be on the racial justice team, and they still made me think about possibly joining education instead, because there was such a good job of really teaching us about different issues, really showing us the different intricacies. So even though I came in knowing racial justice, they still turned me a little bit towards considering other possibilities, which I really think is a testament to the depth. So during this conversation, I openly said that I was going to make my commitment to the racial justice team and said to this podmate, I'm going to try to do my best to make sure that even if I'm not Woman of the Year someday, I still can be the Angela Huey of the racial justice team. So one of the things that I find really interesting is I call it the amalgamation of everything, because it was all the experiences that led to where we are today. And so it's been less than 3 months since we graduated, just by 3 days. I looked it up to be sure. And not only in that time did I join the Racial Justice Impact team, but I was actually nominated by our president. I teach at Chandler Gilbert Community College, to be nominated as the faculty nomination for a Maricopa Leadership Pilot Institute that our Maricopa Community College District is putting forward. So I'm actually one of 15 that have been selected that were nominated by our college presidents to actually start this pilot program that was created to address with the leadership deficit that we're going to have not only in Arizona, but across America in the upcoming 5 years. So I actually started 2 weeks from today. So, and I actually had an interview process that I was unprepared for. I thought it was going to be informal, and I sat down before a group of board members from Maricopa with a list of 8 questions that I was timed on, and they did not give us beforehand. They also didn't give us any time to read over the questions before we answered them. And thanks to the work that I did through the reflections that we had to do during Valley Leadership, I was able to deliver outstanding answers to each and every question, drawing specifically on examples from what I experienced, on practice sessions that we had done in Catalyze as to how I would handle certain situations. And underneath all of that, I had confidence to actually felt like I know what I was talking about when I said these things, based on the connections and the support that I experienced. So I feel like it's been, you know, it hasn't even been 3 months yet. And literally 2 weeks from today, I'm embarking on a 3-year leadership program in the Maricopa Community College District, with the ultimate goal of me becoming a vice president or another level of administrator.
Hooray!
So as a result of Catalyze 3, I am definitely.
I love it. Great news. Thank you for sharing about your Catalyze experience. And everyone, these are the kind of great folks you get to spend time with if you're part of Catalyze. So like I said, the real highlight is the folks you get to spend time with. And, you know, myself and the rest of the Valley Leadership staff, we work to facilitate and get you time with those people. Because yeah, you're welcome to hang out, but you're also welcome to head on to your evening. And for everyone else, like I said, we want to leave lots of time for questions. So the rest of the time is time for any questions folks have. You can put them in the chat. You can hop off mute and ask it. Any questions you have, we're happy to take a run at answering.
Any questions? I'm also happy to talk with anyone. You can email me at dave@valleyleadership.org. Excited for class 4 starting in the fall.
Yeah, and I will send a follow-up email tomorrow with the recording from this session, and that's just me. That's not like a computer or a bot sending you that email. So reply to it, and I'm happy to answer any questions or hop on the phone if you're more of a talk on the phone, walk and talk kind of person. I'm happy to do a walk and talk. So thanks for being here. I'm going to stop recording, but I will hang out for 1 minute if anyone's got questions. But the rest of you, head to your evening. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Carrie.